The Kugoo Kirin G3 is an insanely powerful e-scooter with a 1200 watt motor featuring dual suspension and some deep tread 10-inch tyres for off-road riding. Join me, James Bruce, in today's MUO review as I put the Kugoo Kirin G3 through its paces and try really hard not to die. From a design perspective, the Kirin G3 is very impressive with a really large deck and orange accents, most noticeably on the front and back with the TPU suspension. It has a rear brake light, rear drive 1200 watt motor, two front lights situated at the front of the deck on either side, which is a really nice unique flair. It's also capable of a maximum speed of 31 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour, and that is not an overstatement. And the whole thing weighs around 55 pounds or 25 kilograms. It does fold. You just unscrew the reflector at the front and then it's super easy to fit in the back of a car. You get both front and rear disc brakes as well as an engine brake, and activating either of the front or back brakes will also trigger that engine brake. Essentially, you should have no problem braking on this, and in my testing it was very responsive, very quick to come to a complete stop when needed. Up top we have the most informative display panel I've seen yet. With 3 levels of motor power available, the option to set it as pure electric or requiring a kickstart to get moving, 3 levels of brightness, a speed display, 10-level battery indicator, and even, curiously, a current and voltage readout of the battery level. Now, I don't know why you would want to know this. At no point during riding did I wonder, ooh, what's the voltage? But maybe I'm missing something, and that's what pro scooterists need to know. Either way, I mean, more information is always nice. So powering that massive motor is an equally impressive battery running at 52 volts with 18 amp hours capacity or 936 watt hours. The Kugoo Kirin G3 is available now for around €1,000 or pounds or dollars from kugooscooterusa.com, or change the N to EU or UK for your own regional site. So in terms of comfort, the Kirin G3, as I said, features a distinctive dual suspension system, but the suspension is quite stiff, and it's not comparable to, say, hydraulic oil springs or a forked suspension. They are not adjustable. So over really rough terrain, it does still feel pretty bumpy. Over lighter terrain though, it's incredibly smooth, but you can see in the footage that even on using this stabilized footage from the Insta360 One X2, things are still pretty rough. Although the deck itself looks massive, I also found I could never quite get fully comfortable. At the end of an hour riding it, my legs were knackered, and maybe that's just the terrain that I was able to ride over with the Kirin G3. With this testing me to my limits for sure. Any other scooters that I've tested just haven't gone near the sort of terrain that this thing can handle, but still, I did feel myself shifting around a lot, so, you know, it was quite a workout. The handlebars aren't adjustable, so you can see where they sit on me. I'm 185 centimeters tall and they feel quite comfortable. But if you're significantly shorter, this would probably be too high. In terms of climbing performance, my first point of reference is the road I live on. It's not particularly steep, maybe 10-15 degree incline, but every scooter I've ever tested so far has just been unable to get me up it without me putting in some input, kicking off every 10-20 meters. This, on the highest power, got me up just fine. It wasn't hugely fast, but it did manage it without any input from me at all. So clearly the 1200 watt motor is legit powerful. Now, there are occasions where it struggled for sure. If it didn't have a run-up, for instance, or on really rough terrain, I did have to get off and walk again at some point. And it's important to bear in mind that performance for you will vary according to your weight. So for reference, I'm at the maximum weight limit of 105 kilograms on this. It actually says 100 kilograms is the limit, so keep that in mind with what you can expect out of it. If you're a lot lighter than me, then you're probably going to go up all hills, no problem. So speaking of that motor power and speed then, on flat roads, I topped out at about 40 to 45 kilometers an hour or 25-30 miles an hour, which is just insane. And it was very easy to hit that sort of speed. So you may also want to make use of the built-in speed limiter, which you get to by holding down the set button, I think it was. Otherwise, you may be breaking all the laws. It's not a silent motor at all either. It has a very distinctive and honestly quite satisfying hum to it. So, onto the off-road testing. Now, although it handles gravel and sand and dry, short grass really well, I did nearly end up over the handlebars on what I would consider a pretty small rock, no more than yay big, 4 or 5 inches diameter. This just dead stopped. So there is a limit to the off-road nature of this, and bear in mind that they are small tyres, 10.5 inch compared to, say, an e-bike, even if they are large compared to other scooters. So you should still choose the line you're going on wisely. That said, you do sit a bit higher than average on this, so not once did I feel the deck scraping on any of the other smaller rocks or the little bumps. I also tried on some grasslands, not particularly deep grass, but I guess it was fairly soft, and it did struggle even on full power. It was pretty slow. I ended up jumping off of that and going back onto the road until I could find more gravelly areas. In terms of battery life, I managed to use about half the battery in an hour of very rough riding on full level 3 power, and again, I am at the weight limit. So that was using full power, and it was very rough terrain. So 2 hours of use should be easily doable off-road, or a lot longer if you're lighter or using a lower power output, or on flat terrain. 4 hours would be more expected. So what's my verdict? Overall, the Kirin G3 is an extremely capable off-road e-scooter.
Whoa, that's steep.
Performance was excellent on both road and light gravel, sandy surfaces, less so on grassland, and there's certainly a limit to the type of off-road that you're going to do. But that would be true of any scooter. And to be clear, this has been the most capable scooter I've ever tested. Hill climb capabilities were also good. While it won't push you up a hill from a dead stop, it does have the power to push a fat middle-aged lump like me up light hills without any input. However, I wouldn't recommend the Kirin G3 as a first scooter or for beginners. I wouldn't be comfortable putting my mum on this. And it's really the sort of scooter where you do need to wear a decent full cover helmet at all times, which, let's be honest, you might not always do with other scooters. On the full power setting, it can very easily throw you off right before you've even gone anywhere. So you need to have confidence and control from the outset to handle that level of power that it's capable of. But if you do have a bit of experience riding scooters and you want something a lot more capable than your average city scooter, you want to actually go off-road, maybe try out some trail riding, then this is a great option. All right, that's it from me. Thank you to Kugoo for sending this over for review, and thank you to you for watching. Do hit thumbs up if you found this video helpful, and if you have any other questions about the Kirin G3 that I didn't answer, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Until next time, please consider subscribing for more weekly reviews, gadget giveaways, and more from all of us at makeuseof.com.